Hi guys, welcome to my channel, The Honest Perfume Reviewer. Today I'm filming in my son's room. I'm trying to find a place in the house where I can where it can be quiet. That's why. He's actually traveling right now. He is in Costa Rica. He's been in Nicaragua. He's been gone since January. He'll be home in June. Really much looking forward to that. I just kind of reached a decision. Was it 2 days ago? I realized I'm gonna have to move because the cost of living in this pretty big house are too high, and I have to look at something smaller. And also, you know, my kids are getting bigger and they're not home so much. So I'm now considering like to maybe get a smaller like row house. And the work with this house is just overwhelming. I just can't do it by myself anymore. I became a widow like 7 years ago. And it's just a lot to do. I think there should be definitely 2 adults, both in terms of like the 2 incomes. And I don't have any income right now. So I've just been nibbling off capital way too long. I need to get back on track. But I do have some interesting job opportunities going. Keep fingers crossed for that. And before we jump into this video, I just thought I'd let you know like my sense of the day. Ramsey, who is like my new idol among perfume reviewers. He's got such incredible knowledge. I enjoy his casual way of talking about perfumes, and he just knows so much. He always starts with talking about his scent of the day, and he can talk about one fragrance for 30 minutes, no problem. I'm not quite at that level yet, but I can just say I started by testing some fragrances from this house. It's called M.INT. You see it says M.INT. It's an Italian house started by this couple. I think they have like 25 fragrances, but I have here 7. I bought this little discovery set from a friend. She's gone through them. 7 of their fragrances. They all have names that are kind of hard to remember. One is called Moonglade. One is called Fashion Intervention. Another one is called Hit the Mark. And they're all different. I will be reviewing these in the near future. There's one kind of exciting one that has banana and pineapple and cloves, etc. Quite challenging perfume. But there's some interesting ones in there. I just need to give them a few more wearings. Yeah, and the bottles are really, really different. They're kind of covered bottles. You have to just go online and check out the bottles. I think they're kind of interesting. Anyway, quite expensive price point. I'm going to just mention that for like 70 mil, they're 212 euros. I think they're something like that. Okay, so my scent, and after I tested 2 fragrances from there this morning. I'm not going to tell you which ones. I'll get into that when I make my video. After my shower, someone mentioned this fragrance on my channel because I did like a pretty quick run through of lots of Profumum Roma fragrances, and I don't think I mentioned this one then. And I have this one. It's one of the few full bottles. I only have 2 full bottles from Perfumum Roma, and it's Orangea, and it's this one, Patchouly. And then I have like 4 or 5 travel size as well. But this one, I'm glad I was reminded of this one because now it's kind of overcast here. It's kind of, the sun went down or went behind the clouds and didn't go down. But I just kind of remembered this incredible fragrance. I don't wear this enough. This is a little bit of a challenging fragrance. If you guys like Psychedelique from Jovoy, that'll give you an idea about kind of how this smells like. It's a really deep, dark, ambery patchouli that goes in like in a chocolate direction with a little bit of mint. It smells like a big mint chocolate cake, like with a drop of mint in it. It has something green. This is the first 15 minutes. You have to kind of like let it settle because it's pretty challenging and pretty overwhelming the first 15 minutes, but then it really, really is super beautiful. The performance is incredible. The projection is incredible. I don't think I'll ever go through this bottle because 1 drop goes a really long way. These are quite pricey. I think these are close to $300 now actually for the 100 ml. They're a little bit different prices. Like this one might be like a little more expensive than Orangea in the same size. So there's a little bit of a range, but not too much, but highly recommend. I still love it, but I forget to wear it. Okay, so I thought I would make, why did I bring out these? Oh, I just wanted to show you my Orangea fragrance. And then I brought this one because it kind of is similar. This is Rosendo Mateu number 7. It's a little bit similar to this, except it has like oud and vanilla, but the patchouli in there is quite similar. I think Psychedelique and Patchouly are really similar, so you don't need them both in your collection. They're way too close for that. Orangea is really great in the summertime. I might be a little bored with it now, though. But it's like, it's a hot day fragrance. It has really good projection for this type of fragrance. It has a lot of petitgrain. That's the main note in here. But it does have a little tiny bit of like a beach vibe with kind of a hint of coconut going on in the background. Maybe it's not listed, but it has like mint. I think it's like cedar needles maybe, or something piney in here as well. It's really good fragrance. Okay, so today's fragrance, I just kind of wanted to share with you what I find, what I appreciate in other fragrance reviewers. And I'm not saying that I've got all these right, but these are things that I'm going to try to think of more, because this is what I really appreciate, like in other reviewers. Of course, good research and knowledge. I think that's really important. I appreciate when they have like a big frame of reference, when they can, relate one fragrance to another. That's a real good way, for me at least, to describe a fragrance, I think. For example, when I say that you might be familiar with Psychedelique, and if you know that fragrance, it gives you an idea about what this smells like. I don't like... no, let's start with the do's. The do's, okay. Good research and knowledge, of course. I appreciate when they say who the perfumer is behind a fragrance, and maybe what else this perfumer has done, or for what houses they've worked for. Are they an up-and-coming perfumer? Are they like an old school kind of master perfumer that's been around for like 5 decades? And then I really appreciate when they describe perfumes in other words than just listing the notes. I don't mind when they use notes, but please, I would like to hear like what notes are most prominent, and what they think about the combination of notes, if they overlap with other fragrances that I might be familiar with. That I think is a good help. Of course, I think it's nice when reviewers are funny, like Maria Collett. I don't know if you've checked her out. She's really funny, and she's done this incredible... I thought she was a comedian. She's not. I actually asked her personally if that was her job. She's really funny. She's made some kind of perfume about what perfume reviewers should not do. And catch that video, because it is really funny. The only thing I think about her is that we have a little bit different taste. She likes a lot of like designer fragrances. She loves raspberry and like really girly fragrances, and I don't like fragrances like that so much. She does talk about niche fragrances as well, and I really like her. She's a really, really likable person. So that was one thing. I do also appreciate when they list the fragrances mentioned in the video down below, and even better when they say like at what minute and second a certain fragrance is mentioned. I don't know if that's a function. I got to learn that, because I think that's really, really helpful, because sometimes I just want to like hear what everyone has to say, like about guidance that I'm trying right now, and I don't want to spend my time like watching to the whole video. So that's great. And also to put the name on the screen, I think is a really, really good idea. What do I think? And one really important thing with the do's and don'ts, I think, do always say when you have been gifted a fragrance, because I think this is major, important, super important information, so then I can turn your video off. I don't want to watch a video when someone has been gifted a bottle. I mean, in general, if are there no other fragrance reviews out there, then I will watch. Otherwise, I will look for something else instead, because I want the real stuff. I do think that there are, I know that recently TheTopNote, Sherry from Australia, recently did a video about this thing with PR, and that it can be difficult, but she doesn't think it's a problem being honest, although she's been gifted bottles, and I trust her, but in general, I do believe that it's really hard to be honest when you've been gifted something. I can't even be honest when I've been gifted a sample. I just noticed that the other day. It was really, really hard for me. I was honest, but it was just, it just doesn't work for me. So, and I think it must be a little bit the same as everyone else. And if they have like a coupon code, of course, there's some collaboration going on with the brand, the house. I think it's really important to be transparent about these things. Maybe even market contains marketing, because this is nothing else in marketing. I think that's really important to just, be really clear about what it is you're serving here. And if it's sponsored, or, you've been gifted something, I really not that interested, to be honest. Okay, what are the don'ts? What are the things that I kind of like avoid, that bother me when I watch videos? I'm really bothered by when people tell me to subscribe and to hit the notification bell so I can be notified for future videos and giveaways. Does that little sentence sound familiar to you? Yeah, Sebastian, the Perfume Guy, says this in every single video, and it's just really, really boring. We know what to do. We know about the subscribe button. We know about the notification bell. I think it's just wasting people's time. Maybe it does help, but it really does not add any value to the listeners. I say listeners because this is really not, I mean, this could be audio, right? It's not so much of the visual experience. I mean, I do like to see the bottles, but it's for me, it's secondary. I don't like when reviewers read the notes right up and down. Like, sometimes if they're really, really surprising and they comment along the way, I think it's okay. But just to read the notes, I just think that is really lazy, really boring. Not interested in that. Okay, so, and to unbox, I think, is really boring, and to show the packaging in detail, like to show the top in detail, turn the button, spend like 3 minutes just talking about the presentation and how heavy it is, or it doesn't matter to me. Just skip that part. These are my personal opinions. I respect if you think differently of these things. And also I think that like describing all fragrances in the same way, like saying that everything or every other fragrance is sexy, I think that is just really stupid. Or something is stunning, and just using that word over and over, that everything is stunning. I'm sure I'm guilty of this myself. I don't think I use the word stunning all the time, but I do use probably some words over and over and get stuck on them, and I need to vary my language more and find like nuances so that the message can get through to you better. At least this is what I want. Another thing that I don't like is when reviewers like really trash other reviewers. I think I can say some negative things, but I would never like send a bunch of hate to people and call others, right out liars. I just think that sometimes some, like Mr. Smelly 1977 just recently made a video about all the lies that the perfume reviewers are telling us. I mean, I think some of them are so obvious, like a perfume will not get you laid, a perfume is not important, or that perfume is important, that would be a lie. I think perfume is important, but it's not going to get you that job. It's not going to, I understand what he means. I mean, it's kind of a funny video. Go and watch it if you're interested, but I think he's going too far, and there are some pretty obvious things. I don't agree with all the things he said. I think it is important to have a fragrance wardrobe. I think that perfume, can be worn in different seasons, but that the seasons do matter. Climate does affect the way a perfume performs. I don't mean that it's forbidden to wear, a freshie in the winter. Anyone can want to smell fresh on a January day, but I think that certain temperatures bring out, certain qualities. So some perfumes are more all around, year round than others, but definitely this is something there is some kind of weight in this. What else did he say? Yeah, that perfume reviewers were experts. I don't think anyone really believes that we're experts. It's just a matter of taste. Some are more experts than others. I think Ramsey definitely knows what he's talking about. He spent a lot of time. You can tell usually pretty quick if someone's spent time with comparing perfumes, or, training their nose, that they can distinguish different notes. Or if someone's just reading from Fragrantica or Perfumo. You can tell. And I think that even if a person's kind of starting out in a channel, I think it's nice to, when they share, their knowledge of how they're getting to know the fragrances, and what made it easy for them to like pick out what patchouli smells like, or cedarwood. Like cedarwood smells like pencil shavings, and sandalwood can be creamy and sometimes smell like dill pickles, and like these kind of associations that are like, we've all heard them that have been in this hobby for quite a while. But maybe if you're new, you haven't really heard these things. So I do appreciate these little kind of helpful associations to, at least like my nose can find something if I get some of these words to kind of guide me. I also think it's really important to, oh, now I'm back in the do's again, but to tell us the price point. And even also, I think it's of additional value to say, you know, what sizes are offered by the house, but especially the price point, because it always matters, you know, for most of us anyway. And it really, I think is, and I don't do this myself. I forget to say, you know, the price, but I try to remind myself because I think it's an important ingredient, kind of, because the smell has to kind of be weighed against the cost for the bottle. And if there's something that's like, it smells really good and it's quite affordable, that makes for like a better recommendation for maybe a lot of people. I think it's an important factor that I think a lot of people forget. And I know that like, what bugs me the most is when it's so obvious that someone is getting all their perfumes for free most of the time, like Demi Rawling, but she never mentions it ever. I mean, she does once in a while, but it's, if she has 30 Xerjoffs, I mean, of course she's getting them, right? And like she hardly ever mentions the price point. It's because she doesn't pay for them herself. And I think if you buy your own fragrances, then you know that it's important, you know, because you've been considering, do I want to get this or do I want to get this? Everything has like a relative cost. If you're getting everything for free from the perfume houses, it's just not an issue. And of course, you're gonna forget to mention it. You probably haven't even bothered to check online how much these fragrances are, you know? So these are some things that I really, really appreciate. I just thought I would mention a few reviewers that I really enjoy listening to. Sam and A World of Fragrance, I think, is really good. We don't have the exact same taste, but she has a lot of fragrances, and she also, you know, puts the effort in to make lists. They're not necessarily like top 10 or anything, but they're like, she'll go into a note and really describe it in detail, and I appreciate that. I also like Olfactofiles, Tara. She does get an occasional free bottle, but most of her stuff she's bought herself, and she always says, at least I think she always says if something has been sent to her. We don't have the same taste either, but I mean, there's an overlap. I don't think there's anyone out there that has exactly my taste, actually, because also my taste is changing. So I think still there's not like that perfect reviewer. I really appreciate the Perfume Guy Sebastian, because he has everything. And he does describe the perfumes quite well. There's a little bit too much of note reading there, and I'm sure he doesn't pay for his own bottles. I mean, sometimes he does. A lot of times he doesn't. And he never trashes anything. Sometimes he'll say, actually, like, this was a disappointment. And that's when I decide I'll keep watching him for a little bit more. Because I think that if new fragrances are coming out, I know that he'll always have them first. He has a lot. So he does both designer, niche, indie, everything. He doesn't have like a particular style that he kind of follows. He basically reviews everything. But I do know that his style, I know what he likes, because I've watched enough of him to be able to tell. And I appreciate also that he talks about, you know, who made a certain fragrance. I think that's a really good quality in a reviewer. So I still think, even though he gets a lot for free and is probably maybe even sponsored, and he has his businesses now with these fragrance packs that he sells, he's still like a good basic reviewer. I wish maybe he was a little bit more personal, like he never says anything about himself, except I think he has talked about his heritage a little bit, like things that he used to eat as a kid, desserts. I think he's from, like, his family's from the Middle East or something. Can't remember what country. But I have no idea, like, if he's married, does he have kids? What do they think of the perfumes? You know, like a little bit more information about who we're meeting, you know, like I think I appreciate that when you just get a little here, a little there, that is a little bit more personal, because it can be, one thing that I really don't like in a perfume reviewer is when you only see hands showing the bottles. I much prefer looking at someone's face showing, because there's so much expression in the way someone talks about a fragrance, that just listening and watching hands, to me, I mean, I would if it was audio, but like, I find myself, I want to kind of see who's there, you know, like, so people who only have videos when they're like, you know, showing the bottles with their hands is just not as interesting to me for some reason. What do you guys think? What makes a good reviewer? Do you have reviewers to recommend? Okay, I'm just going to summarize the ones that I recommend that I can think of from the top of my head. Sherry, TheTopNote, Sebastian, the Perfume Guy, Ramsey, Mr. Smelly, 1977, I don't watch very much, to be honest. I think he's a little bit more into the like traditional masculine. He talks a lot about Creed. I'm not so interested in Creed in general. But sometimes he comes out with kind of provocative videos, and then I watch them. I never watched Jeremy Fragrance. Oh my God, he said, I did actually accidentally, something came up with him, and he said, he was sniffing, you know, like, this is all right, but I would never launch this. Like, I don't know. He's just so not humble. I don't know. I just can't watch him. I think he is ridiculous. He's a total joke. I don't want to trash him in any way. I mean, he does his thing. He's really successful, and I'm happy for him, but I just can't watch that. It's a circus. But also, A World of Fragrance, I recommend. Olfactofiles. What else do I watch? Well, and then I watch, there's lots of people that I watch kind of here and there, but I like Troy. I find that he also buys a lot of his own fragrances. I think he calls himself Troy, or Troy, something, he calls himself something honest too, I think. But I think he's been gifted a fragrance or two here and there. I could be wrong there. But I'm really curious to hear, you know, what are your favorite fragrance reviewers and why? You know, like, what makes a reviewer a good reviewer? Is it the knowledge? Is it the lists? Is it the, like, how they, you know, focus on one note, focus on one perfumer? Is it the top 10 lists? You know, what do you guys prefer? Like, what is it? I mean, I'm sure that, of course, someone that has similar taste is more interesting than someone that has completely different taste. Some of them are quite obvious, but it could also be more or less entertaining, I guess. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. All right, that's all for today, guys. Bye-bye.